What is going on, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. As you can see, been a little preoccupied here. Been doing some plowing the last couple of days. Anyone that was on the East Coast probably knows a lot about this storm. Where I am right here, I think we had 30-something inches drop. We were 2 inches shy of beating our county all-time record for snowfall. A lot of this snow was supposed to fall in New York City. New York City was supposed to get what we got, about 30 inches. And we were only supposed to get 5 to 8. We ended up getting 30 inches, and I heard that they only got about 4 or 5. So storm must have shifted. There are a couple counties to the southwest of us that got 44 to 46 inches. So I'm going to have a lot to say about that once I get in the truck. Let me turn the camera around and talk to you while I show you a couple things. Plow just came off the truck for the first time since, what's today? Today's Monday. Plow's been on since Wednesday afternoon. Snow started falling Wednesday night, and we've been working ever since. Took about, I don't know, an hour at least per driveway. There was about 30 inches of snow that was out there, and truck did pretty well. It's already had a bath, and it's dirty again. I'm going to talk a lot about the storm when I'm in the truck and kind of what I got going on, and kind of basically just a review of my first time plowing as a business, how this plow worked, how the truck worked, and basically some of the hiccups that I ran into, and really just a lot of the headaches that I went through. It was a challenging storm. It was a challenging storm to learn on. I plowed in the past, but it's been at my house and my parents' house, my sister's house. So this is the first time that I've had people kind of breathing down my neck, and boy, were they breathing down my neck. And I'll get into why or when the storm started, when I started plowing, and kind of just how the whole thing went. I'm going to do a lot of that in the truck while I'm driving. I got to go do some errands and pick up some supplies for another video that I'm going to be shooting soon. It has nothing to do with plowing or soft washing. It's technically my off season, so I'm going to show you a little bit of some of the hobbies that I like to do, and it's something kind of new for me. It's kind of bringing back a little memory from my childhood, and you'll hear all about that. But let's get in the truck, and I'll tell you how how the last few days went, and it wasn't too fun, but we made it through. Okay, so we're in the truck. We're headed to get an oil change, do some errands, and get some supplies. Want to kind of hash out the storm that I went through. If any of you guys are plowing, you'll probably understand. Maybe you can leave a couple pointers. Any of you guys that are looking to get into it, I know a couple of you guys on my channel, a couple of you guys in the group are looking to do like snow blowing. If you don't have trucks, and you're gonna run into the similar, not the same, but the similar situation. So the storm started Wednesday night, right around midnight. And sorry, it's gonna be a little shaky, but as long as you guys can hear me. The storm started about midnight, and we were steadily getting about an inch an hour, for the first few hours. Probably by 6 o'clock, there was already about half a foot, actually, let me take that back. I don't think that's true. I think it was 2 inches an hour. I think we had about 6 inches of snow before maybe 4 or 5 a.m. because I went out at 1 a.m. My goal was, I knew that 5 to 8 inches was coming, and I wanted to get out and just kind of do layers of snow at a time. I wanted to maybe hit it every 3 inches. It was my first time going out to all these accounts, actually plowing, learning the properties. Everything's easier when there's less snow. Went out at 1 a.m. and I got 2 accounts done. And it was snowing so heavily, and it was a light and fluffy snow. It was just whiting out the windshield. I couldn't see past the hood of my truck, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go home for a little bit, let the storm slow down, and I'll go back out around 6 a.m. So, went home, slept for a little while on the couch, got up, I think, around 4:30, and when I got up around 4:30, it was a nightmare. There was over 1.5 feet of snow. I tried to go out, again, did a couple of counts. The roads weren't clean. There wasn't a plow truck in sight. I found out later why that was. The storm was so bad around me. I'm in Warren County, New York. Saratoga County, Albany County, Rensselaer County to the south of us. They were getting so much snow that emergency services were dispatching local and state DOT trucks to EMS and fire calls because local emergency services couldn't get paramedics and firefighters to the scenes of emergencies. So that's why the roads were unclear, and they were unclear for almost probably 12 to 18 hours. So that storm, like I said, started at 1 a.m. I didn't actually get to go and get my route until 1 p.m. the following day, Thursday, 1 p.m. So 12 hours from when the storm started to when the storm ended was I able to go out. Every other time that I attempted to go out, my life was in danger, my truck was in danger, and it was just, there's no reason to do it. Now, the forecast again said 5 to 8. And in the beginning of the video, I told you that we had about 30 inches, maybe 32 inches in most of the areas that I was plowing. Tremendous difference in the forecast. If we had had the forecast saying that we were going to be getting 30 inches, I would have stayed home and I would have let my accounts know. I would have talked to each one individually and let them know my expectations of the storm. And you better believe that I'm going to do that next time, because the last 48 hours was an absolute nightmare. My phone didn't stop ringing. People were saying, where are you? Are you coming? And these are all people that had never left their house that day, had no idea how bad the roads are, and had no intention of leaving. Schools around us were closed. People were home from work, and their biggest concern was getting the snow out of their driveway, and it was very, very frustrating. And I have a hit list on my list of people that will not be on my plowing list next year. And frankly, if they piss me off, again, they're gone this year. I don't have any contracts with my accounts for this reason. I have agreements. And right now, there's a few that are probably not going to be here in a couple months. So it was a little frustrating. Every single driveway had about 30 inches of snow in it. It was a storm that I was not able to go out and do passes in. There are driveways right now that I'm driving past that are still snowed in. I mean, it was a crazy storm that we weren't expecting. So the fact that people were expecting, and it's not just me, I've talked to other plow guys. I've read stuff on forums. I mean, we were abused, man. We were abused. People think that they are your only account, that you signed to just them up, that their season rate is enough to feed you and your family and pay your bills, and at the drop of a flake you're going to run over there. But we all know that that's not the case. We have other people that we have to service, and we sign off basically saying that we're going to keep your driveway free and accessible throughout the winter. I don't remember ever saying to anyone that I was going to have them plowed out 15 minutes after 33 inches fell. So rubbed me a little bit of the wrong way. And like I said, there are some conversations to come with a couple people that I just don't want to do business with. I'm having no problem right now finding business. My home advisor I must have gotten at least 50 phone calls from home advisor for snow removal. People that thought their snow blowers were going to handle the storm or handle the winter. Again, no one knew that this was coming. I was actually plowing one of my accounts, and some guy chased me down the street because his $1,800 snowblower wasn't working, and he wanted me to go plow his house out. He wrote me a check on the spot, and then yesterday he called me and asked me if I wanted to come back and get snow off his roof. And my body's still recovering from everything that I went through the day, and I told him I'm sorry I couldn't do it. But I mean, people were just constantly looking. I probably turned away, $5-6 grand, honestly, of snow removal just the other day, because I couldn't even get to my own clients. And during an emergency storm with that much snow, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't be charging like $175 a push. People couldn't shovel their walkways. People were stuck on the street looking for tows. Tow drivers were stuck, couldn't get anywhere. I mean, my dad was pulling tractor trailers around on the highway. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on that no one expected it, but yet I was expected to be clearing these driveways right away. So I'm not going to rant on that too much longer. I will do that in the privacy of my own home. But again, keep that in mind, guys. If you're going to be trying to get into snow removal, if you live in an area like me where I can only wash a few months out of the year, and then I have tons and tons of white stuff on the ground for the other half, I'm going to plow because I want to keep that income going all year long. If you guys are going to plow and snow blow, learn from this mistake. If you have a big storm coming, reach out to your accounts beforehand and say, listen, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to put my life at risk. This is what I'm going to do. Just lay it out for them. Now, if another 6-inch storm comes along, yeah, I'm going to go out after 3 inches, and I'm going to do a couple swipes, and it's not going to be a problem. I'm talking about if we're forecasted for these big storms, there's going to be some kind of guideline put in place for how I'm going to get to them and who needs priority. What was kind of annoying was some of my accounts I know weren't going into work. They're retired. Some of my worst accounts, the worst attitudes, were retired elderly people that were not going to go anywhere. They weren't working. They weren't going out in the storm. My truck was not handling the roads because they weren't plowed. They weren't going out in their Nissan Altima. So what I did not have a problem with was when people called me and said, hey, my wife's a nurse. She's got to get to the hospital. Can you be over? Yeah, I dropped what I was doing. I went over and did that. That's reasonable to me. My wife's a nurse, and she doesn't have a choice. She has to go to work. Yeah, I'll come over and I'll plow you out. I'm learning from those mistakes. Next time there's a big storm, I'm going to hit those individuals. I have a list of who needs to be out. I know who is, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., which one of my clients have handicap family members that, need special access. I know all that. The problem is that some people didn't tell me that. And next storm, I'm going to make sure that I have that information. So enough about that. The storm was falling so intensely, and we couldn't get there because the highway department wasn't safely maintaining the roads, and it just didn't make sense. You could tell at this point, the second time that I had come home, you could tell that the storm was fierce. The forecast about 6 hours into the storm started to change, and now we were seeing that we were getting at 12 to 18, 24 inches, but still, they never called for 30. So even though the forecasts were changing and they were dramatically increasing, they were never calling for the full amount. So it was literally just a nightmare all the way around. But once we were finally able to start making our way to accounts, again, 12 hours after the storm started, I had already been receiving hundreds of phone calls letting people know that I was coming. And then once I actually got to their driveways and started blocking the blade, it's like I fell asleep into another nightmare. There was just so much snow. Luckily, it was light and fluffy, but the amount of snow was getting all up on the wheels and bogging in the plow. Every driveway was taking about an hour. Almost every driveway we were getting stuck. They weren't crazy stucks like I had to, get towed out, but it took a lot of time. You had to shovel the powdery snow out from under the truck and throw down a little salt if we were on an incline or a decline. And then you would push 30 feet, and then there would be another heaping pile of snow in front of you, and we were stuck. And we had to get out and shovel the snow. The snow was so light that the snow was just coming up over the plow. It was so light and it was so high that it was just coming up over the plow and just getting in with the wheels. It was caving in on the side of the trucks. Every time you turned and you scooped a foot of snow off of the wingspan of where the plow is, you would just pull snow up under the truck. So it really took 3 or 4 dirty passes to get one clean pass. So we were there on each driveway for a while. And that happened house after house after house. It became an issue figuring out where to put the snow in some spots. I had plenty of conversations with my accounts before snow had even fallen. This was September, October, November when I was setting up my accounts, figuring out where the snow was going to go. Once those snow piles got too high, where the backup spaces were going to go. And on the very first storm, the backup spaces were taken. So it was really just an interesting snowfall to have, number one, on my first go of it, and then really just for these people, I feel as if both parties were diligent to figure out where the snow would go and where it would efficiently go, and then both of us just got smacked and we were told, nope, your plans are not going to work and your driveway's full of snow probably for the rest of the season. We are getting a little lucky. We're going to be above freezing all week with a couple days towards the end of the week about 47 degrees, so we might lose a little bit of this. I really hope we do. If you guys are going to be plowing and snow blowing, Have your accounts close to each other. Some of my furthest accounts, one of the mistakes that I made, it wasn't really a mistake, it's a learning experience. Around August, I think I started looking for plowing accounts. And it was the first time, again, trying to do it as a business. And at the time, I don't like buying junk. I like buying good stuff. And I knew that I eventually was going to have a snow plowing business, even if it wasn't this year. I wanted to start. And I don't like buying junk because then you own junk. So I looked for a plow that would be suitable as a beginner and would be suitable as, in the medium stages of my snowplow career. And then, by that point, maybe going into the advanced stages of my career, we'll get something different. But I didn't want to get a junky one. So I went and got a refurbished Fisher V-Plow, the one you guys saw. It was $5,200, which I didn't think was too bad. It was $5,200 for the plow. My truck is a little bit lifted, so it had a custom drop bracket and the install, service, everything for $5,200. My goal this year was to get $5,200 at least revenue for plowing. That way, I just wanted to break even for the plow. I wanted to hopefully have my plow accounts pay for it. Just wanted to break even, have the plow. Next year, the plow would be mine. I'd own it outright. And if I could keep those same accounts, then I'd be $5,000 in the green. And then I have a whole another year to add more and maybe get it to $10,000 or $15,000. That was my goal in August. I got my first account, got my second account, just kind of slowly trickling in. And I was eager, and I wanted to get stuff. So regardless of where it was, as long as it was in, a 15-minute radius, a 20-minute radius, I would take it. So I took some kind of far away. They were kind of good pricing. And I would say far away. I mean, where I live is Lake George, New York. Then it goes Queensbury, New York. Then it goes Glens Falls. I mean, it's one stretch of road. I'm on Route 9 going from my house down to Glens Falls. It's one road. But it is, can be 20 minutes away. But my accounts are in Lake George, Queensbury, and Glens Falls. And that's it. They just go up and down Route 9. I took some of the ones down in Glens Falls, which is far away from me. And they're great accounts, great people. And I took them because I was eager in the beginning, but now most of my business is up in Lake George. And I'm trying to refine my business up in Lake George. So it's, you guys are going to learn that you want to be as close as possible. I thought that this route that I had was pretty good, and I think it is pretty good, assuming that we get, 6, 7, 12-inch storms. On a 30-inch storm, it was way too far. And as unlikely as it is that we're going to have another storm like that this year, as unlikely as it is that we're going to have a storm like this next year, we haven't had a storm like this in probably 7 or 8 years. I just don't ever want to deal with this again, and I don't ever want to have to take people's money and have to provide that kind of service. I mean, I apologized to a lot of people yesterday. I don't really think that I needed to. I upheld my end of the bargain to the fullest that I could have, but still, don't take stuff just because you're desperate, is basically what I'm trying to say here. I took stuff when really I should have just been patient and just waited for it to fill in the exact area that I wanted. I wouldn't say that it was a mistake. It was a learning experience. I'm going to honor these accounts all year long, but next year I'm not going to be picking up the Glens Falls accounts and probably a lot of my Queensbury accounts. And it's nothing personal. There's plenty of plow guys out here. Everywhere you go, you see 100 plow guys, and those people will be taken care of. It just doesn't make sense for me. So I'm going to honor them on our agreement all winter long, and even help them find them a replacement next year. I don't want to have any bad agreements with anyone, because even though I might not be able to reach them during a snowstorm, I can easily reach them in the afternoon of July and soft wash their roof in their house. So with me, I have to kind of break up my years and my clients a little differently, and that's something that I'm learning to do day by day, and figure out who are going to be my winter clients and who are going to be my summer, my spring, summer, and fall clients. So it's interesting and it's difficult, and I hope some of this helps. Some of this is pretty good information. Some of this is just ranting, but it's healthy for me. I need to do it. I'm glad. Thank you guys for listening. What else? So enough about that. You guys kind of got the gist of that. The plowing and stuff was a nightmare. The roads were a nightmare. We got a lot of snow. There's not much more I need to say about that. How'd my truck do? I was pretty nervous about my truck because I've had an engine light on since I went to Alabama back in July to pick up my skid. Any of you guys that have been watching my videos since at least July, you would have seen that had some issues down around South Carolina. The engine light came on. I was thousands of miles from home and was pretty nervous. Not only is this my personal vehicle, but it's my work vehicle too. So if it breaks, I'm broke basically. So when that engine light went on, talked to a couple Ford techs down around Alabama, or basically down around South Carolina, Alabama, trying to figure out if I was doomed or if I was going to be able to make it home. And I wasn't even done yet. I just still drive to Alabama. I was in South Carolina to Alabama and still back home. But they all said it was fine. It was a code for a EGR overflow, excessive overflow, or excessive flow. And I called all three plow or truck techs and diesel techs, and they all said that they had never seen one. It's possible that you can get an excessive flow, but normally it's a bad sensor. It's never actually an excessive flow. Normally there's a restriction. They told me to drive it. All three of them told me to drive it. They said that if it was an actual problem, my truck would not drive. I would know that it wasn't going to work. Here I am, July, August, September, October, November, December, almost January. We're in December now. 6 months, no issue. So the light's just on, but always wondering, always nervous, but it was fine. When I went and got my plow, I think that was back in September or October. That was about 40 minutes south of me on the highway. It was still October, November-ish. I think it was October. It was probably 50-something, 60 degrees out. Went and got my plow, drove 40 minutes home on the highway, plow low, but I blew something in my radiator, just like a little plastic piece. It made me really nervous. Truck was overheating, had to shut it down, get a tow. Luckily, it was just a little plastic piece. Truck overheated, found out on plow forms that at highway speeds, the plow can actually make like a vortex or like a wind tunnel and keep air from going into your engine and cooling it down. Not only was I creating that vortex, most likely I was also doing it with 60-degree air, and also your truck is going to heat up more quickly. It's going to work harder just simply moving the plow. It's probably about 900 pounds at least extra on the front of the truck. So I was a little nervous about that going into the storm. Luckily, it is now December. Luckily, it was about 4 or 5 degrees during the storm. And even through the storm, pushing the truck, plowing all this weight, driveway after driveway, never had a problem. The truck easily cooled down between jobs with the plow being low to the ground. I let my corners drag a little bit just because, again, I don't have an extra truck, and I'm going to baby this thing as much as possible. If the steel cutting edge has to wear out, I'd rather replace that than a truck. So everything was fine. There was a couple places that were close to each other that I did have to stop, turn the truck off, pop the hood for a little bit. Again, just to be safe, let it cool down, not to overheat, because I know what'll happen. And even though it was just a cheap little plastic piece, the truck was down for, probably a day or so in the shop. So I don't want that during the storm. Something to keep in mind. Again, you guys that have been plowing all your lives, you guys are gonna know this. I have not, and other people that are getting into plowing and stuff, you might not know this either. I didn't have any trouble with really overheating my truck except for in the beginning of the storm when it was actually snowing. When it was snowing and coming down crazy, and in between jobs, my plow was hitting. I mean, the roads weren't plowed, so there was 6, 7, 8 inches of snow at a time, and my plow would hit it and it would throw snow up. At one point I noticed I could smell the coolant getting really hot, so I stopped and I got out, and the whole front of my truck, all the air vents going into the engine and the radiator were just packed with snow and ice, and that was obviously not allowing airflow. I'm glad that I caught it. I smelt it at the right time Was probably getting close to being a little too late. I got out, popped the hood, turned off the truck, knocked all the snow out, let it cool down, and then never had a problem again. I was checking it periodically after every push, or after every driveway, and then I noticed that once the snow stopped, I just got a notification from Home Advisor, remove snow. It's crazy around here. There's snow on roofs. I'm not answering any of these because I just need a little bit of a break. I don't think it's for plowing. I think a lot of people want the snow off their roofs, and I am interested in that, but I just need I need a minute to myself. So, but once the snow and the storm stopped, I wasn't getting my vents clogged, even with plowing the big driveways and the big heaping piles of snow. I wasn't getting the front of my truck clogged. So again, keep that in mind. This is all stuff that I'm just learning as I go, and hopefully it's helping you guys. So well, hold on for just a second here. So I did get I did pick up silver lining of the storm. I did pick up in my preferred area another really good account. It was a 1,700 foot driveway uphill for a rental property. Getting that towards I actually picked that up after the storm. They still needed me to plow them out, so obviously went and did that. But that turned out to be a really good account. Something that I'm probably going to win every year because they're looking for reliable guy, and they put it out on Home Advisor, and no one else in the area accepted it during the storm, so I kind of got it. I kind of got it there, luckily. It kind of makes me a little more comfortable with next year, or if I do continue to have an issue with some of my my further away clients, I can comfortably kind of shed them off without hurting my income, which is kind of giving me some peace of mind. Like I said, it's in my preferred area. It's actually like 7 minutes from my house, and it's my second biggest account, so they're going to become a priority, obviously. And my more challenging customers are, they're going to have to find someone else in their area. But I hope again, I hope this video was helpful. A little bit of it was ranting, and I thank you guys for listening. But I think a lot of that information is helpful. It's really just a review, of how my experience went. The plowing was fine. I got the hang of it pretty quick. The plow that I had used in the past was a straight blade. This is my first time using a V blade. I liked it a lot. It was really easy to control. It was comes with the Fisher remote. I can retract the blade, scoop it up, down, left, right, tilt, all that kind of stuff. It has the float. It was nice. It was really easy to get the hang of. After a while, the first couple driveways were a little tricky. It's just like anything else. My first Softwash, my first house wash was an absolute nightmare as well. All this stuff's going to be. You don't want to be scared or discouraged because you might make a mistake. You don't have to necessarily tell your clients that you're new, but tell them, hey, working with new equipment, or it's a new property, especially with the snow removal. It's going to take me a minute to get comfortable. One thing that's really going to help you guys, if you're not spending money on snow markers and snow stakes, you are just killing yourself. In this storm, you couldn't see where the driveway started, where the curbs were. You couldn't see where a mailbox was if the town had gone through. The only thing that saved me from damaging someone's property or like hurting my truck, or going off someone's driveway were the plow markers. I knew where all my edges were. I went around. Some of them I waited till the day before the storm. I went out Wednesday night before the storm, put some markers out. But nonetheless, I went out and did it. They were worth every penny. I think I spent like probably $300 on markers. I probably needed. I think I used like 400 or something. So maybe I even spent more because they're not that cheap. But I'm gonna try to collect them all this year so I can reuse them. But they were worth every penny. Even if I did spend $300 or $400 on plow markers, it was worth every penny. So I'm gonna go get an oil change. That's probably enough. There's gonna be some cool videos coming. Again, one of my hobby videos are coming. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. It's pretty neat, pretty interesting. And then probably by the time that this is posted, or maybe not, I'm not sure when I'm going to post these, but I do have a video. I had some GoPro stuff set up with the plow. I got some plow shots, a time lapse of the storm coming in. So you might have already seen this by the time you see this, or maybe not. Spoiler, I don't know. Catch you guys later.